overtime that game. Syracuse also won up at the Carrier Dome last year after losing here at the Verizon Center. Underway as Syracuse wins the opening tip.
Syracuse comes in 4-0 in the Big East, but the combined records of the 4 teams they've faced is not very good. This is a major challenge, a major step up.
Immediately inside to Onuaku, but he's walking with it, a traveling violation. Not what Jim Boeheim had in mind. Only 4 Division I schools have more wins than Syracuse: Kentucky, North Carolina, Kansas, and Duke. And Jim Boeheim has won 787 of Syracuse's 1,741 wins.
They're a prayer shot by Cleveland State away from being an undefeated team.
A 60-foot heave. Here's Summers. He'll let it fly and gets it. Deron Summers coming in averaging 15, the Hoyas' top scorer.
He is a gifted basketball player. Inside-out skills. He's doing a better job getting to the free throw line this season.
Syracuse with more proven scorers as Jackson backs down into the paint, flips it up with the left hand, left it short. Harris with the rebound at 6'5", just a monster rebounder. They keep it alive. Onuaku can't dunk it. That one spit back out. Right to run, and he will lay it in. And all of that off of the rebound, off the missed dunk.
That is something to continue to watch, though. Will Syracuse get second chance opportunities? Rebounding has been an issue for the Georgetown Hoyas to start this season.
Harris feeding that low post again. Jackson wants the ball. And up and in for 2. Rick Jackson at 6'9", using his size.
That is his signature move. I mean, he just tries to get deep position to go to that jump hook. You almost want to sit on his right shoulder and force him to use that weak hand.
One of the changes Jim Boeheim has made. Christoph Ongenat now on the bench these days, spinning inside Monroe, and there's a whistle. And a traveling violation, says Ed Hightower.
Well, Georgetown has finally come off a game where they out-rebounded their opponent. In fact, dominated Providence in helping them win because they were down. And that missed long dunk turned into a transition opportunity for Chris Wright.
Hoyas coming in at 11-3, 2-2 in the Big East. They beat up on Providence on Saturday, and a long bomb will be off the mark by Flynn. Although very capable of hitting the three-pointer, here's Wright. He lobs deep into the corner, and they swing it up top for Summers. Now into the corner, jump shot by Freeman. That won't fall for him. A battle for the rebound. Onuaku had it just about taken away, but a tie-up on the play. Possession error will keep it on this end.
You love the activity and energy of the Georgetown Hoyas. Exactly what Coach Thompson is looking for to start a home game.
In his 5th season at the helm at Georgetown, he followed up a Final Four season with 28 wins and a Big East title last year.
Cuts a different figure than his father did, but nonetheless sort of a cool customer over there.
And his father very much a presence. He was here in the building, a couple hours before everybody else, waiting for his son's team to take the court. Of course, the program that he made great. Summers has that one knocked away. Look at a glare by Harris.
He's going to give it a little Dikembe Mutombo.
No, you don't, says Paul Harris.
Well, the zone is not a surprise. Obviously, it's a signature for Jim Boeheim at Syracuse. But remember this also. They've played some man-to-man, maybe 60-40 zone-to-man this year. But the reality is this. The guards from Georgetown, the last 3 games in particular, have struggled shooting the basketball. So until they make some shots, Syracuse will play a ton of zone.
Off the double team, Monroe is short with a turnaround. Jackson outlets to Harris. He wants to attack the iron all the way through. It won't fall for him. Syracuse getting outstanding opportunities early as Flynn kicks it out. The long one by Routens is going to be around the end. Nothing going down from anywhere on the court right now for the Orange.
That's a terrific look for Andy Routens. He has got spectacular range.
From the corner, Wright swishes home a 3. Chris Wright, who's hitting 41%. And Georgetown off to a hot start.
That's a great sign because Chris Wright, he has got all the skills in the world, terrific off the bounce. How he performs will dictate how far this team goes.
Onuaku trying to get position, flips it up with the left hand. Syracuse now 1 for 8. Wright feeding inside, it's Monroe again. He draws the double team, trying to get around Jackson. Finds the open man, Summers. It comes back to Monroe. Here's Wright out high. Letting fly Sapp. They left him wide open. He can't drill it. Flynn trying to run. The pass tipped and stolen away by Sapp. And they've got numbers now. 4 on 2. Right to the baseline. Summers gave it up.
Got to get a timeout.
Very unselfish, and exactly what Jim Boeheim has to do. He calls the
two. And it's interesting that now Jim Boeheim is aware that the next dead ball is going to be a timeout situation. But he needed to score badly enough that he was willing to use that timeout. That's how poorly his team got out in this basketball game.
Walko at the foul line. You saw Johnny Flynn on the bench next to the coach. Rounds inside, flips with the left. Here's Jackson to follow, and the foul as well.
4-4 on the offensive glass. What Syracuse has coming up next in their schedule, Notre Dame, Pitt, Louisville. They understand this is an important game. They've gotten some good shots. They're being persistent on the glass. The thing they would like to do, I think, because Georgetown's depth is suspect, why they don't go consistently into their bigs and try to get Greg Monroe, where their lack of depth is most noticeable in the post. Get it inside, see if you can't challenge the bigs from Georgetown and get them in a bit of foul trouble.
Jim Boeheim has not changed in 33 years. If he feels a guy is not performing, he is on the bench in a heartbeat. Eventually, he'll get Flynn back in there, you know that. It's Freeman up top now for Georgetown. Here's Sapp on the wing.
Devendorf off the bench is a nice luxury to have.
Devendorf coming in, averaging 14 points per game. The wing jump shot. That'll be too strong. That won't fall for Sapp, but he followed his miss. Leans in, and it's a charge. Offensive foul, and a good job by Onuaku to stand his ground.
Well, both teams being aggressive off of missed shots. This was a poor decision. And Jesse Sapp early in his career would make those kinds of decisions often. He's really grown up. It's unusual to see that senior make those mistakes.
John Thompson talked about it yesterday. Said he was the kind of kid that would beat himself up after 2 or 3 bad plays, and you might lose him for a while. Devendorf trying to dump off down low. Onuaku using his size again, feeding Harris in traffic for 2.
That's great individual athletic ability that makes that shot possible.
Harris is certainly that. He's got that Superman physique, and he's only 6'5", and averaging 14 points and 8 rebounds. Georgetown to be very patient offensively. Here's Summers on high, and that didn't touch practically anything, barely grazing that iron. A scramble for the rebound, the Orange have it. Georgetown has suddenly gone cold. They've missed 7 of their last 8. Devendorf have a great fake and a pass, and Jackson gets hammered underneath.
So Devendorf checks in, and what does he do? He looks immediately to assist guys off his dribble drive penetration. You're checking Eric Devendorf. Your job is to keep him in front.
Chris Wright with the foul, and Flynn getting ready to get back into the contest now for Boeheim. Jackson to the line, where he's at 71%. Free throw shooting could be an issue in Big East play now for the Orange, because they're only 64% as a team.
Well, the 2 guys that you need in the post are 2 guys that struggle for Jim Boeheim. Both Jackson and Onuaku both have worked incredibly hard, diligently, put in the time in the gym. You just have to get comfortable there.
Onuaku just a 41% foul shooter. Syracuse creeping to within 3.
What you don't want, what Georgetown has done in its last several possessions, is settle for jump shots. Now, most teams have 1 or 2 looks against the zone. John Thompson, third. He's got 4 or 5 sets he'll run against the zone.
Throw it away. Here's Devendorf with it, running the point now. Off to Flynn. And like the Hoyas, Syracuse, a very good shooting team. Typically, they're at 51%. Harris off the fake. Devendorf is dangerous from beyond 3. Wright will foul him. He just picked up his second quick one. So another foul on Chris Wright with 13:43 left in the opening half here in Washington, D.C.
And John Thompson has talked a little bit about the development of his depth. There you go, the shooting numbers you were talking about. Against Providence, they were down at the half. There was some foul trouble they had to deal with. And their bench, Jason Clark, Sims, they all came up and played big.
Devendorf lets fly around and out. Julian Vaughn there with the rebound, just onto the court at 6'9", and a shot blocking threat for the Hoyas. A little more patience here now for John Thompson, the third's team.
A lot of perimeter passing, though. No cuts to the free throw line. Everything's out beyond that 3-point arc.
Summers bouncing for Freeman. coming off a good game against Providence, and he drains that. He had 18 against Providence.
So very deliberate. The philosophy of Georgetown is simple. We will work for the best shot we can get, but that entry pass into the middle of that zone, what happened? You've got a paint touch and a score.
Evendorf trying to get by Wright does. Swoops in with that left hand, which he uses so effectively. He is right-handed. Battle for the rebound and another foul against the Hoyas. As Syracuse is really...
There are no bad games. Pitt, what a job Jamie Dixon has done. Just consistent excellence for him. 2 terrific scorers. Inside, you've got DeJuan Blair. Outside, Sam Young.
Jackson. All rim, but it won't fall in for him. From the field, he is shooting 60%. Playing about 17 minutes a game, and Jim Boeheim has inserted him into the starting lineup. And having a good night, although not at the line yet. He's 1 for 4. Making 1 for 5. Rebound picked off by Vaughn.
Yeah, you can tell he comes back. He's a little bit frustrated. What he can't do is have it impact him on this end of the floor, because that back line is not very big right now. You got Routens, Harris, and Jackson. Yeah, Onuaku set to check back in.
That one comes free to Harris. He wants to run. It's Flynn in the center. Flynn off to Routens. The jump pass back to Flynn. Routens, when he gets hot from beyond the three-point line, he can be deadly, but that's a double dribble.
Yeah. We saw Rutgers actually face guard Andy Routens, just try to take him completely out. A little bit unusual just because there's so much balance in the scoring for Jim Boeheim. I mean, Devendorf can score. Routens. Onuaku in the post. Sometimes, to me, Syracuse does not go often enough inside to Arinze Onuaku. Because good things will happen. He's not a selfish guy. He's not a black hole. You post entry to him and then let him facilitate things.
Freeman looking inside. He bounces to the foul line. Vaughn leans in. Nice shot. The 6'9" sophomore out of Reston, Virginia, with an athletic move there.
Yeah, terrific little fake. Nice square up to get the defense moving.
Monroe about ready to come back in now for the Hoyas. Flynn pulls up and pops, and the rainbow will drop for him. And Flynn with so many offensive weapons, it just has great joy in his game, doesn't he?
He does, a terrific pace, and I just love the little hesitation, the shoulder shake.
Again around the perimeter here for the Hoyas, who come in number 12. Syracuse is ranked number 8. Dropping it down low, Vaughn. Nice feed there for the bucket and Clark.
Short corner, so important. And that's another area where you can attack that zone. It's almost like Georgetown, that first 10 to 12 seconds, they're not looking to score. They're probing that defense for the weakness.
Well, John Thompson in practice works his kids on what they do well. They pay very little attention to what their opponent is doing. Yeah, they looked at his zone, at Jim Boeheim's zone, throughout their entire workout yesterday. But it's mainly about the Hoyas as Devendorf will fire, and that's all net for Eric Devendorf for the 3.
That's the danger of Johnny Flynn. When you can stick shooters with Johnny Flynn, his ability to get in that lane and set the guys around him so crucial to Syracuse's success.
4-point lead coming up on 10 minutes to play here in the opening half from the sold-out Verizon Center. In the paint to turn around by Summers, but a whistle and a foul before that. So we have a timeout on the floor. Right now we'll toss it back to the
Syracuse. But they traditionally, or at least to start the year, will run their offense through this guy. That's a great tribute to him.
Looked great on the video game. They haven't done it in the actual game. Not yet. He is 0 for 1 from the field.
This is it's an interesting situation where Monroe out of Louisiana picks Georgetown. And he would have been successful in any program. Oh, nice steal.
Good step by Flynn. He's off to the races.
And that's when he can be special. And that's what you were referencing with Donkey out in their last game. He will electrify you. But Monroe picked the perfect system because John Thompson will utilize every skill, not just his scoring, but his passing ability and the feel he has for the game.
And his intelligence, that's what John Thompson really raves about. And why he has fit so neatly into it. He's such a bright kid. Dumping it down low, trying to get free for Sims. Henry Sims had 6'10" himself. freshman out of Baltimore gets fouled here with 9:42 to go in the half.
So that was an example of where they will deploy him. He gets himself to the high post. And guys at 6'11" to make that kind of feel pass, that touch pass with not a lot of spacing, that's special.
Onuaku with his first personal. Sims getting about 10 minutes a game. And too strong with that opening foul shot. Hoyas coming off a victory over Providence on Saturday following back-to-back losses to Pitt and Notre Dame. Their other Big East win came at Connecticut. That was 4 days after Christmas.
That was compelling, G.D., and I know Coach Calhoun upset with his team's effort. Tempo seems important in Big East matchups. Pittsburgh jumped all over Georgetown in the next game, got control early, and you can function differently when you're the team with the basketball in the lead.
Syracuse with the basketball, but behind here. On the drive, Joseph got tied up by Monroe. Another theft for him. He leads the Hoyas in steals. Clark with a pull-up shot. He missed badly there, but the rebound came out to Freeman. And a foul and a rebounding Frey. A little shove underneath there. This will go against the Orange. As Georgetown is hitting the glass hard here with 9:16 to go in the half. And Georgetown getting multiple opportunities. The foul will be on Paul Harris. Routen's coming back on now. Syracuse getting their long bomb threat on the floor.
Multiple opportunities because Georgetown has gone big with Monroe and Sims on the floor at the same time.
Jason Clark, another very talented freshman. There's the ball now for Georgetown. They're awfully young. They have one junior, one senior. The kick into the corner, and that line drive shot will go down, and a great job of moving the ball.
Well, post-entry pass, and there you see Greg Monroe's unselfishness. I mean, this is a guy who wants to involve his teammates.
Flynn will let fly. Straight on and drained it.
He goes back smiling.
Flynn with 7, starting to heat up Georgetown. Up by 3. Flynn has made 3 out of 4.
Well, whatever Coach Boeheim said to Johnny Flynn in that first time out when he had him on the bench, it's worked.
Once again, Syracuse not able to locate the open man. This is something the Orange have done exceptionally well. Shut down the opposing three-point shooters. They're third best in the country at that.
Now they lead the conference, but right now, not on the top of your scouting list.
Rounds with the miss. The Hoyas to push the tempo again. Monroe lost it. And a scramble for it. The Hoyas will come up with it. Monroe wants to get into that lane. Wild looking shot, but a foul on the deck before the shot. With 7:54 remaining and a man down. Routens is hurt for the Orange. We'll be back in a moment. They're looking for. Watch for Sherikov coming in now on the scramble as he collides with that knee diving for the loose ball.
I can't look at that replay.
And Routen's down in agony. And off to the bench. Will we see him again? And one of their best shooters, and one of the best shooters in the Big East, as Monroe will go to the line here, the freshman out of New Orleans.
So they might have been able to absorb his injury a year ago, but then Liebendorf goes back down, and they have absolutely no depth. Johnny Flynn ended up leading the Big East in minutes per game. And you can almost see the fear on Andy Routen's face. And because for a basketball player, that kind of contact, and especially when you have a history or have hurt that knee like that, that's exactly what's going through your mind. You understand how long the injury takes to rehabilitate.
Both he and Liebendorf missing last season as Liebendorf goes inside. Sims swats it away. Up off the backboard and a clean block. Now the alley-oop on the other end as Summers wiggles underneath for the basket. Dewan Summers with a great-looking hoop.
Now, just terrific job, one, to catch and not try to make a play before you have gathered yourself. That's just good feel and good patience by Summers.
Georgetown with their biggest lead of the night. It's up to 10. They're on an 11-3 run. Flynn trying to bring the Orange back here. Coming up on 7 minutes to play in the half. He drives, backs it. That won't fall for him.
So terrific help. You've seen the Syracuse guards get off the bounce, which they are very capable of doing. But backside help has been there. That's why Georgetown has been amongst the leaders in field goal percentage defense.
Stolen away by Jackson, but it's going to be palming the ball. Violation, back over it goes, and Georgetown really clamping down defensively.
Well, Henry Sims is getting more and more comfortable, and John Thompson III has talked about this. He said, our bench is getting better. We had to make them better and be committed. Sims, if he wants to earn minutes, defend and rebound and earn John Thompson's trust in those areas, and you'll see PT.
Summers to the baseline. Monroe, a great look to Sims on a slam. And Greg Monroe can do so many things on a basketball court for the Hoyas.
Capable, and he's got terrific skill. First of all, terrific backside pass to Summers. Doesn't even come down off his feet.
Better tomorrow night. Part of Thursday Night Showcase presented by T. Rowe Price. First at 7. A Big East showdown as Hashim Thabit and number 4 Connecticut will face off against St. John's. And at 9 o'clock, it's Tyler Hansbrough and 6th-ranked North Carolina facing Virginia.
I am very partial to guards in college basketball. Pearl Washington was one of my favorites. But I'm telling you this, you watch Georgetown tape, it's a blast to watch Greg Monroe play. He has got terrific feel.
Freeman trying to hold up Dievendorf, and he fouls him. That'll be his first.
4 assists for Greg Monroe. He's second on the team coming into the game. He leads them in that category tonight. And you can tell, he doesn't care how many shots he gets. This is the best recruit coming out of high school last year. And he could care less about the number of shots or points he gets.
Syracuse gives it back. The Hoyas to attack. Freeman floating through that lane. And that one is going to be off of Syracuse with 6:14 to go in the opening half. Syracuse leading the all-time series 43-36. They've won 8 out of the last 10, so that's been under John Thompson III's skin a little bit. The fact that Syracuse recently has kind of dominated the series. Summers for the slam. That was just too easy off the inbounds. Look at the grin on the face of Monroe, and Summers has 7.
You don't get the sense that there's great body language coming off Syracuse right now. They're flat-footed on the defensive end. There's no energy.
A 15-3 run for the Hoyas, and that's another pawning violation. A slew of those against the Orange here in the opening half. What to do if you are Jim Boeheim, the Hall of Fame coach. His team has been anything but sharp here against their rivals from Washington, D.C. Right now, a very confident-looking Georgetown team, forcing turnovers, hitting the boards, and hitting their shots. Bond dumps off into the corner, and the three-pointer is on the money by another freshman, Jason Clark.
So the bench, productive in early first half minutes. If they get good, Georgetown's going to be a tough out, folks.
Glenn having trouble lifting his team. Here's Harris. That won't fall. Walker will clean it up. Dumping for Harris. In traffic, he gets fouled. With 5:09 to go in the opening half. Georgetown has scored 18 of the last 21 points in the ballgame.
Similar run in the second half against Providence. They trailed 36-31 at the half and went on a 21-6 run in a 6-minute spurt. So they've got that kind of scoring ability.
Nothing unusual for the Orange to be behind at halftime. The question is, can they come back without Rounds? It looks like they're going to have to tonight. That's a major concern for the Orange, but they overcame double-digit deficits to win games against Kansas, Virginia, Cornell, and Memphis. You and I were there at the Carrier Dome back in November. They were down 7.5 to Richmond before they rallied to win.
You wonder they had come out of the zone at any point.
Summers with a travel. Gives it back to Syracuse. Under 5 minutes to go before halftime. Georgetown with a big lead, 34-18.
I don't think the expectations change for John Thompson III. He's not a guy who makes excuses. They've talked a little bit about Georgetown has no practice facilities, a small Catholic school. Can they be successful? He's like, I don't care what we don't have. I know what we do have.
Divendor backs off, fires. Rebound knocked to the Hoyas. Clark will swing it for Summers. He's their top scorer, the 6'8 junior out of Baltimore. On target, it's Austin Freeman, and all the shots are falling from everywhere on the floor for Georgetown. They lead it 37-18. Look at Monroe.
What you like to see against the zone is the defense have to move. And when you have a skip pass, no pressure on that basketball, a lukewarm contest by Unganat. So it'll impact seeding. It also impact those bubble teams down the stretch. Look at Marquette's close to the Big East Conference season. I mean, he's got some brutal stretches.
Flynn with a miss, Sims with a rebound.
You could literally go 6 straight games in this conference playing ranked teams. Rutgers knows all about that.
Clark trying to feed at the foul line. Thrown away. Here's Flynn. Divendor blocks the 3, and he gets it.
Yeah, there's a guy who's got the toughness and the sort of edge and savvy. It's Divendor.
Paul Harris very animated on the bench next to Jim Boeheim. He's had 2 of his biggest stars, Harris and Flynn, spend considerable time next to him. Vaughn on the spin, wriggling in, and he draws the foul. He gets it with 3:35 left in the half. We have a timeout. And Orange. George Dave O'Brien with him. Johnny Flynn trying to be cheerleader and the motor for Syracuse, but so far it's not working as Vaughn goes to the line for Georgetown.
Well, we talked a little bit about the fact that Syracuse comes in 4-0, but the combined records of the teams they faced thus far in the Big East not very good. Teams are combined 1-14. Georgetown, on the other hand, just 500 in conference, but clearly the quality of their opponents has been better to start the year.
In conference play, certainly true. Syracuse does have strong wins over then number 18 Florida, number 23 Kansas, and number 21 Memphis on their resume. Obviously all outside the Big East.
Yeah, I mean, really, you can look at that game in Kansas City for Syracuse. It's almost a true road game because there were a lot of people in that building voting for the Jayhawks.
Unganat with a nice bounce underneath to the big fella Onuaku, flushes that one down. He's making 71% of his shots.
Well, this is the point I made earlier. I mean, this is a guy who's a terrific scorer. He doesn't try to overpower people. He does a nice job getting guys on his back and using his advantage, which is his feet, to score. I would just like to see them go more consistently to him.
Sims feeding Summers with a pull-up shot. On net. Smooth stroke there out of the line. Summers.
Listen, Syracuse can score. Their X factors, do they guard this year? They're number 1, number 2 in the conference and scoring over 80 points per game. This is a defensive end. They need to show more toughness, I think, on that side.
Joseph with a bad pass. Batted away by the Hoyas. Summers, hits the deck and fouled. Look at him hop up. He has to be restrained by the officiating crew, Hightower, Hess, and O'Connell. He was hot.
Yeah, I think it's a good take. He's going to get a technical foul. He got in the face of his opponent.
Well, a spectacular dunk by Summers.
Yeah, and listen, this is the kind of foul that on a pickup game would cause a fight, okay? Because he's a breakaway, and Summers' concerns this is a dangerous play. But this is a guy who gets hot, gets in the face of his opponent, so it's a sportsmanship thing, and they just tag him for it. And I think it's the right call. John Thompson's going to do the right thing. He's going to get the young man out of the game.
Now, Christophe Unganat, the 6'8 senior from Belgium, was the man who fouled him. Summers with the technical. No hesitation at all by this crew.
I think he's going to keep him in, Coach Thompson. Just going to get a clarification for Carl Hess.
To 23, Divendor, who is the Orange best foul shooter at 81%. Now Diemerdorf getting ready to shoot them, but Boeheim continues to argue.
Well, did it look like he just mouthed the words, he made a play on the ball, and therefore objecting?
Diemerdorf with another one on the way. And around and out, foul shooting a problem for Syracuse. And Boeheim has also lost his best long-range shooter in Andy Rautins, who may well have re-injured that ACL. We'll wait and see on that, but it was the same knee, we can tell you that much. It cost him last season. 2:36 to go before halftime.
So this one is for the foul. It was the end one part of the play. The next free throw taken will be for the technical, or the intentional foul. And I think that was why Jim Boeheim was objecting, because it looked to me like he mouthed the words, Ongenat made a play for the ball.
So technicals in both instances on both teams. And Georgetown will have the ball here with a 43-24 lead. Batted away and stolen by Harris, who has returned to action here after a long stay on the bench. Flynn bouncing for Harris, harassed by Monroe. He goes right back up amongst the trees, goes back up a second time, denied on each occasion. There's Monroe in for the foul. And finally a call there. There'll be number 2 on him.
Yeah, I think Sims took a shot to the head. They have great length right now up front for Georgetown. Greg Monroe gets a piece of the first. That's 2 big guys with great length when their arms are extended. He took a shot to the face, and I don't mind that foul right there. That is Greg Monroe being aggressive and saying, hey, you're going to come in the paint, we're going to contest shots.
Ongenat to the line. He is 23 years old. His dad played in Belgium, where Christoph was actually raised. Monroe heading for the bench now for Georgetown.
So you cannot teach length, and I don't care if you're talking college basketball or the NBA. When the Celtics won a championship last year, P.J. Brown, 7 feet, had great length and made key plays. You've got great length on Georgetown's team when you're lining up Greg Monroe, who's 6'11", and Henry Sims, who is 6'10". How'd you like to have to score over those 2 guys?
43-26. Very rare is this rivalry game one that ever gets away on one side or the other, but it certainly has in the first half tonight in Georgetown's favor. Vaughn giving off for Freeman, and fouled on the play as he drained the 3. Diemerdorf hits him, and Freeman with a chance for a 4-point play.
So you made enough shots. Things weren't going well for Syracuse. Coach Boeheim decides to come out of that zone. Now you can run your offense, which you have become known for. And just a silly foul. Never foul a jump shooter.
The sophomore out of Mitchellville, Maryland, a 75% foul shooter. And how about this? You talk about unexpected. The Hoyas leading 47-26. Right back up and in by Arenze Onuaku, who we thought would be a big factor in the first half. It really hasn't been.
Syracuse cannot get this lead back in one shot. I think they're all so competitive and anxious to make plays right now. You've got to get in the locker room and say, hey guys, let's go possession by possession. There's no 50-point shot in basketball. Run your offense, get some stops.
Syracuse coming in with 1 loss on the season. They're 16-1 and 4-0 in the Big East. The Hoyas at 11-3, 2-2 in the conference, and laying it on their rivals. Floats that one up there, one-handed for the bucket.
A better job though. Post entry pass and then play off of Arenze Onuaku. Again, he's not a black hole. He's certainly willing to kick it and repost.
Well, whatever Jim Boeheim talks about at halftime, it's probably going to start with defense, because Syracuse has not played a lot of it. Here's Freeman. Yes.
I'll tell you what, the 3 guards for Georgetown came into this game shooting 20% in their last 3 games. How great is it for them to see Freeman and Chris Wright get out and play this well in this half? Freeman 4 for 6. Terrific start.
Devendorf bumping up against Freeman to Harris inside for a bucket.
Do you get that sense from Syracuse, that anxiousness with the basketball? They're pressing so hard to get scores.
Yeah, no flow at all, and not many stops. They have given up 50 in the first half so far, with 22 seconds left before the break. And a timeout for Georgetown. Timeout gets it underway in the evening at 8 p.m. as Routens is going to be early to that locker room as he hobbles away in what has been a disastrous first half for Syracuse.
Well, some spectacular games coming up over the weekend. We've seen a terrific freshman here in Greg Monroe. Louisville, Sonardo Samuels, he is fun to watch. Herringody may become back-to-back player of the year in the conference, off to a sensational start. I think he's at 28 points per game over his last few. He's been terrific.
Georgetown, meanwhile, shooting 62% on the three-point buckets. In the opening half, everything has been Hoyas. Seconds left. Wata not there for him from the corner. That's tipped out. With 2.2 seconds left, Syracuse will have the ball.
And just another terrific look. Great patience, good execution, uncontested jump shot, just one that doesn't fall.
Onuaku. And well short. And well played for Georgetown. The first
for Georgetown, that's history. They're shooting the ball.
The Hoyas made 8 out of 16 from 3 overall. They shot 60% in the first 20 minutes. Syracuse opens up the second half with the basketball. Here's Devendorf, who did give them an offensive lift. Here's a quick whistle just outside the lane in the opening seconds of half number 2. And Andy Routens remaining on the bench next to Jim Boeheim. Remember, he went off with that knee injury, and Boeheim doesn't have one of his best offensive weapons available right now.
A guy who's got terrific range. Now it becomes on Johnny Flynn and Eric Devendorf to try to get off the dribble and turnovers. I mean, that's just a silly pass. Why try to make that pass when you've got the next easy pass and a guard right next to you?
This is something we've watched Georgetown do very effectively. Move the ball to the open man and been wide open. Snap giving off for Freeman. Here's Monroe, the big fella, dribbling inside, handles the ball very, very well. That won't roll in. Syracuse needs a pulse on the offensive end. A nice catch underneath, and that's going to roll in for Rick Jackson. He went for the dunk. He'll take the lay-in.
Wow, terrific catch. I mean, just a terrific catch to be able to make the play in the ball.
Monroe on a low block. Right behind him, Onuaku. Top trying to use the screen right on the drive. Here's Freeman. Monroe coming out way away from the basket. Summers at the foul line. Got a good look. It won't fall.
So let's see what kind of pace Syracuse comes out. I thought at the end of that first half, they were trying to get this thing close with one shot. Get consistent with your principles. Make it possession by possession.
Onuaku with the touch, facing up to the basket. The big burly guy flips it up there. Wild shot. Harris with the rebound, leans in close range. Not there for him.
So we've seen a lot of missed chippies. I mean, those are point blank. I understand there's a contest and some size, but those you've got to make.
Inside it was Summers misfiring on the layup. Here's Flynn now trying to drive on Summers. He's denied. Sapp tipped it to Devendorf. Finds the open man, Harris, for 2. Routens can only be a cheerleader here, Doris. Of course, we haven't had an update yet for you on his physical condition. It was obviously his left knee, which was the damaged knee from a year ago. The ACL he blew out.
So Syracuse out of that zone in the man. And this is where Georgetown, you could see those spacing and the back cuts that generally can hurt a team.
Right directing Monroe to set a screen. Wright will cast one long range, and Harris picks off the rebound. Georgetown 0 for 4 coming out of halftime. Theodore trying to take the baseline around Freeman. Tough move. He's blocked. No foul there. Syracuse has possession with 17:14 to go here at the Verizon Center.
And if you're Georgetown, you fight the tendency for young people to become complacent. South Florida, after getting down big against Syracuse in the first half, made a terrific push with their defense. You do not want to have that happen if you're Georgetown.
Jackson getting good position. That'll roll in on the follow.
Yeah, again, another missed chippy. And it's all soft. Everything's around the rim. But now you got to play with some passion again. Again, they're young. They're 18 to 22-year-old kids. This is not an undoable thing if you're Syracuse. This is not a lot of points.
And we're down 18 heading into the second half. Sapp thought about lining up a three. Monroe handing off for Freeman. He wants to shoot it. Harassed by Harris off the back iron. Monroe went down. Here's Harris now. Working on Summers, trying to blow by him. And another missed layup, but a foul on the play.
Well, the man-to-man has been effective to start the half for Syracuse. Georgetown made enough shots to get them out, and now a little bit of activity. And if he makes a couple free throws, this is going to be 10. And this is just terrific athleticism. And Paul Harris has figured it out. He came with a huge reputation to Syracuse. People were calling this guy the next Carmelo Anthony. He had some pressure. He struggled at times, but he's figured out his niche.
Summers' second foul, and Harris makes the first. He's just 3 for 9 from the field. He missed a number of layups. And John Thompson, former great head coach at Georgetown, in the stands. He and Jim Boeheim with legendary battles over the years, and now John Thompson III takes up that mantle, as he has for the last 5 seasons.
You know what Jim Calhoun said about John Thompson III? He said, I look at Coach Thompson and his program the same way I used to view his father's teams. The man can flat out coach and he can recruit.
Well, the lead at 10. A three-pointer lifted and knocked down by the youngster Jason Clark, who came in averaging only 5 points a game. He's made some big shots, and Georgetown leads again by 13. You're talking about John Thompson and Jim Boeheim. You're talking about godfathers of the Big East.
Well, Jim Boeheim is about to surpass Dean Smith for most 20-win seasons in a career. He's got 30. So does Dean Smith. He'll get 31. They're at 16 wins. I know tonight has been a tough night. But hey, a possession here, a three maybe? Yes, indeed.
Yeah, from Johnny Flynn, who hits 36% of those. It's back to 10.
Okay, now the two best smiles in the Big East, DeJuan Blair and Johnny Flynn. They just make shots. There's a joie de vivre with which they play. It's fun to watch.
Summers around the pick set by Monroe. He's taking it hard all the way through. Trying to reverse and came up empty. Harris, numbers now for Syracuse. Flynn flips it and a slam down by Rick Jackson.
See, now John Thompson III's in the same situation Coach Boeheim was in the first half. You got a TV timeout on the next dead ball, and he's going to let his guys play through it. But, you think about that as a coach. Do I want to put this one here or not?
Jackson has 11. Here's Summers. Yes, he answers with a triple of his own.
Boy, I'll tell you what, some big-time threes to stem the tide. And the Georgetown bench is growing up before your eyes. They came in averaging 12 points. They have far succeeded that number, and they've got 15 minutes to play. That is a huge thing for the Hoyas.
Jackson to Devendorf, driving through with that left-handed game. What a walker with a rebound right to him. Tough there, and that's going to be an offensive foul. That's going to be his third. Boeheim would disagree. But Syracuse is back in it. Thank you very much. Sorry, in the studio there with the very busy Steve Lavin and Jimmy Dykes. Jimmy Dykes saw a masterpiece in scoring in Jody Meeks last night. 54 points.
Amazing. What a run as a player. How about Jimmy Dykes? It was an easy travel day for him. He went from Knoxville, Tennessee to Bristol, Connecticut.
Yeah, that's a straight shot. That's a direct play. Right. Georgetown with the basketball here, trying to stem the tide. Syracuse has come out roaring here in the second half after a flat first half.
And what do you see? They're more active and energetic in the man-to-man defense. Now, these players have lobbied Coach Boeheim to play man-to-man. I think they like him. He's got a great feel for what defense? And I asked the assistant coaches, how does he decide? Is it matchups? And he said yes. You know, he's so proficient with that zone. So if they score a couple times on that man, you know he goes quickly to that.
Devendorf's second foul for the Orange. 14.5 minutes left here. Half number 2 from the Verizon Center. Number 12 against number 8. Syracuse has only lost one game, and that was Cleveland State on that 60-foot heave right before the buzzer up at the Carrier Dome. 14 on the shot clock now for the Hoyas. White giving it up. Clark, who's had a good performance here tonight. Nice bounce on the baseline. Oh, Monroe, the very tough angle.
See what I'm saying about the nuances of the game? Okay, now you don't teach that. That is a sense that a guy has of where he is, where his body is in relation to the rim. How quickly he needs to get that shot off with a contest coming from behind him.
Jackson backing down, and a foul. Monroe also went up for the block there. By the way, moments ago, that was Monroe's first field goal.
He's done a terrific job. He's impacted the game without scoring. Terrific bounce pass from Henry Sims. And again, where am I as a post player at 6'11" in relation to where I need to put it off the glass?
Sims with a foul to send Jackson to the line. The sophomore out of Philadelphia. And will rattle out. He's had a tough night there at the stripe.
This is about confidence. This is not about Rick Jackson not having put in the time at the free throw line. He worked all summer on this right here. But you got to step up and think you can make those shots. And this is more of a mind thing than a body thing for him.
He's 1 for 7 at the line. The Hoyas will take possession here.
Now, this is a guy who's grown up. He's really improved as a basketball player, getting more minutes, earning time. But that's going to hurt him because his game is all about power and around the rim.
So he's getting to the line. He's not knocking them down. Syracuse pressing. Freeman trying to get it in, asked for a timeout. So it worked as John Thompson.
The Connecticut Huskies and Rasheed Thabit, who is steadily improving on the offensive end of the floor and a dominant defensive player.
Syracuse unbeaten in the Big East at 4-0. So is Marquette. Pittsburgh is 3-0. Louisville at 3-0. Who's the best team you've seen so far in the conference, Doris?
Well, that's a terrific question. I mean, when I saw Syracuse in Kansas City, I couldn't have been more impressed. To me, it was a true road game, and they're better, I think, than people expected. When I saw Georgetown play Connecticut, on the road at Connecticut, and jump all over them, I thought, holy smokes, this is a team that was picked to finish 8th. You have to love Pittsburgh. Why? They always guard, and they don't turn the ball over. When you have a point guard who's got a better than 4-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio like they do in Levance Fields, and good scorers, you're going to win a lot of games.
Monroe up high, shot clock at 7. Monroe gets it back, wants to work. Bowling his way through a wild-looking shot. Harris with the rebound. He had Devendorf out in front, but he mishandled it. It's Flynn all the way through. He gives it off. Syracuse starting to catch fire at last. Flynn got hit in the face, but no foul there. Sims out beyond the 3, gives off to Freeman. Clark with a great fake from 15 will drain it.
Okay, now their bench, the Georgetown bench, came into this game averaging 12 points for John Thompson III. They are flat crushing it right now.
Clark, just a freshman out of nearby Arlington, Virginia, has doubled his average up to 10 points. The kick out. The shot by Joseph, too strong. Rebound Jackson. On the other side, it's Flynn for the bucket.
Yeah, terrific job by Jackson to carve space and then unselfishly, because all the bodies were around him, to give up the basketball.
Georgetown breaks the pressure.
But what is Georgetown? Henry Sims and Clark have been terrific. John Thompson described them about mid-December. He said it's an inexperienced group that is bumbling along like colts, and colts don't survive in the Big East. Well, guess what? Jason Clark and Henry Sims, they are starting to perform more like thoroughbreds than colts.
Well, they were off to the races in the first half as they put up 50 against the Syracuse Orange and led by 18. Jackson picking up the personal now for Syracuse. 12:04 left. The bench scoring 22 tonight for the Hoyas. We touched on that moments ago. Clark has been a big reason for that. The youngster with 10 points. Here's Summers.
So probe the defense. This is simply, guys, okay, where is the weakness in this zone? And this is a Georgetown team that likes the dead spots.
Todd pushes the pass for Summers. Got it.
See what I'm saying? That first 10 to 12 seconds, it's a pass and a simple pass, and they're just making the orange move side to side.
17 for Summers. Clark picked it. Here comes Wright. One-on-one with Flynn. The follow. That'll go down. Great job by Julian Vaughn to stick with it.
And another bench player contributing to the Hoyas.
And Georgetown back in front by 15. Jackson trying to dump that pass down low. Picked off. Here come the Hoyas again. Wright pushing that tempo. Now he'll back it out.
People are excited for the inauguration, and you can feel it inside this building. They are excited again about the Georgetown Hoyas.
Great electricity in the city. Tonight, it's this rivalry on center stage in the Verizon Center. What Todd lets fly. He got it, a three-pointer. Nobody near him.
How about the bench? They continue to put a hurt on Syracuse.
And not the way that Flynn and Syracuse wanted to start that run.
Well, they came out of the gates in the second half. They showed you some toughness. But every time Georgetown had an answer. Georgetown's got 17 assists on 25 field goals. That's exactly the style you would expect under John Thompson III.
Foul on Julian Vaughn of Georgetown stops the clock with 10:18 remaining in the Hoyt. And among about 20,000 on hand tonight here at the Verizon Center is Mike Slive, the NCAA selection committee. In fact, along with Tom O'Connor, who's right next to him, the entire selection committee is here tonight, Doris.
Well, so Jeff Hathaway earlier in the evening, the athletics director of Connecticut, they are in town conducting some business.
Devendorf kicking it to Ongenot. Syracuse had cut a 21-point deficit to 10. As close as they've been in a long, long time. And another big lead for Georgetown. Here's Flynn with a three. Rebound into the corner. A long rebound collected by the Orange. Here's Devendorf. He wants a triple. That one will fall.
Georgetown shows zone in that particular instance. Check out responsibilities, especially on long rebounds in a zone, not as clear as they would be in man-to-man. Our guys in studio talked about the purpose with which Georgetown played defense in the first half. It has been a calling card under both John Thompson II and John Thompson III. They are always amongst the leaders in field goal percentage defense.
Todd gives it up to Summers. Vaughn on the dribble drive. Lost his footing, and he traveled with it with 9:18 left. (67-52). Now we are being told that Andy Routens is available. We have not seen him in the second half as Harris went in strong and he gets fouled with 9:09 left. The good news from what we understand from the Syracuse medical staff, for a young man who missed all of last season because of that torn ACL, he banged his knee on the floor. It is apparently, as far as I can tell, not connected to the ACL injury.
So clearly your thought goes immediately to the fact that Jim Boeheim is simply being conservative with his star.
Well, certainly one of his stars is Routens averages 11 points a game. He's taken nearly half of the SU three-point shots on the year.
Yeah, he's made 50 already, so he's a major threat with great range. I mean, he's hit some shots from deep. But you get the feeling Coach Boeheim is going to say, okay, he might be available. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to use him tonight. It's not a game where they've ever gotten back within 10 and have a legitimate shot to maybe win this thing, at least to this point. So thinking more of what he's got upcoming, and that's a brutal stretch for Syracuse. Quality of competition in the next 4 or 5 games is tough.
Here's Freeman. Won't get out on him. He goes right by him. A strong move and a foul. Great Big burst there into the lane, and he'll go to the line for a three-point play. Ongenack could not stay with him.
What you love is the intelligence with which this team plays, okay? So Freeman, who's a playmaker, understands that I've got a forward on me, somebody who I can absolutely take off the bounce. So what do his teammates do on the drive? They spread the floor and they take all help away. Georgetown understands what's a good shot and how to play the game. Great smarts.
Evendorf to penetrate, slicing with a left hand and two. Evendorf, of course, has had a tumultuous season. He was suspended 2 games for his role in that off-campus altercation with a female student in November. Ongenack hitting the floor, but he commits the foul with 8:24 remaining.
Syracuse number 12, Crystal Ongenack, his third personal foul, team 5th.
69-56, a 13-point lead for Georgetown. Syracuse unable to get much closer, and Boeheim's countenance certainly reflects that. It's been a frustrating night for the Orange.
And I think it's on it's one end that he's talked about. I mean, this is a guy who's been around a long time. He understands where this team needs to get better, and that's the defensive end of the floor. They give up 50.5 to a Georgetown team whose guards came in struggling.
Monroe even thought about a 3 there. The 6'11 freshman. The kick out for Freeman. Oh, net for Austin Freeman.
How many assists is that now for Greg Monroe?
That's 5. Now, he's not done much scoring tonight, but he's done just about everything else. Evendorf tries to answer. Well off target. Onuaku muscles it up. He'll draw the foul. 7:42 remaining. And Georgetown in high. Dorsett made 12 out of 21.
Yeah, good shots. They understand what is a good shot. They understand entry pass first, kick out.
Onuaku to the line, the 6'9", 275-pounder out of Maryland.
So Duke wins against Georgia Tech. Now everybody has their favorites, even announcers, right? Kyle Singler. He is one of my favorite college basketball players to watch. You know why? Not only is he highly skilled, but he's got a little Christian Laettner toughness, edginess that I like the way he approaches the game.
Onuaku airballing a foul shot, bringing another grimace from Boeheim. There have been a lot of those tonight.
That's where you sprint to the opposite end and pretend somebody else shot it. I wasn't there.
Instead, Boeheim takes him out. Monroe giving it up for Wright. And boy, giving it up, when you're talking about a freshman who has that sense of the passing game and so unselfish and just starting out his college career, he's another one who is a lot of fun to watch. Makes the fake, the spin, working his way in. He's denied. Syracuse shuts him down. Flynn wants to romp. Here's Harris. A lot of contact, and he laid it in somehow. It spit right out of his hand, but he got it to go.
Yeah, Syracuse extending the pressure again, trying to make something happen. Now, John Thompson III, his demeanor over there, he's a calm guy. He was hot. Yeah, and did he just get a technical? See, he reacted so strongly after the non-call.
Technical on John Thompson III. That is the third tee in this ballgame.
Okay, now, he actually, his body swung on the non-call by Greg Monroe. It's the top of the screen, and then so he's going to continue to plead his case, and that's where he got it. See, it wasn't necessarily just that. It was the prior reaction on the no call immediately.
Evendorf to shoot in the second time he's been on the line tonight for a technical foul. And this one on the head coach. Evendorf at 81% and makes one of 2.
He's got 2 Hall of Fame mentors, John Thompson III. His dad, Pops as he likes to call him, and Pete Carrill. And I don't think it's necessarily an easy thing to follow a legend, a living legend like John Thompson. You think about Big John with that towel draped over him, Patrick Ewing scowling, Gene Smith guarding. But he's a nice sort of combination of all the influences he's had, John Thompson III. He is fun to watch and a terrific coach.
He does not look beyond the opponent that he's playing tonight. cut. Look at Wright to lay it in.
How about the bounce pass from 6'10" to 50?
Devendorf into the paint, flips a wild pass over his shoulder to Flynn. Flynn will give it up. Laid up and in by Jackson. But again, Syracuse trying to make a comeback without their best three-point man. And Andy Routens, although the news is good on his knee. Monroe mishandles the bounce pass. And a shove underneath there at 6:19 remaining. Foul on Jackson.
Greg Monroe has only taken 4 shots, but he's been a profound influence on this game. How about the bounce pass through the lane to the streaking Chris Wright? I believe that was assist number 6. He's got 5 boards, a couple of blocks, and he could care less that he's taken 4 shots.
He has so far made only 1. The whistle against Harris. He is very unhappy. Paul Harris will pick up his 3rd. 74-61. Let's listen in here. And now they have changed that call. They've called Devendorf for the foul. That'll be his 4th.
I was just about to say, that replay, that is clearly Devendorf on the slap.
And so the foul shot buried by Summers. He's had a very steady floor game tonight and leads all scorers with 18 points. He's also chipped in with 3 assists and 3 rebounds.
An area of strength for the Hoyas this year is their free throw shooting, 73%.
14-point lead here. Flynn with a stumble, but he is not whistled for traveling. A good lean-in shot by Jackson for the bucket.
Boy, he has really developed, and maybe most importantly in his confidence, in his ability to score the basketball. If he could get that way on the free throw line, he'd be all right.
He has 15, and you're right, he's made only 1 out of 7 from the foul line.
You gotta think of those as 3 points, boy. Your points per game average really suffers.
Monroe backs it in.
Okay, again. Now that looks like a simple play, but that's a 6'10" or 6'11" guy who understands immediately where the defense is and slips. Defense was topside, so he just went right to the rim.
Devendorf lines up a 3-ball, and that's going to be in for the triple with 5:25 remaining. And a timeout, 76.
It's a big thing for a guard. You're young, you've got some stars, you've got a very capable starting 5. But you in the league this deep have got to have guys like Clark and Sims off the bench to give you some minutes.
Georgetown ball here, and Syracuse is out of timeouts with 5:25 left. They have pulled to within 11. They've been down by as many as 21.
So Georgetown goes to 3-guard lineup, and you've got DeJuan Summers, who's got size and can help you break the pressure.
That one kicked. 5:17 to go. And Syracuse began the season unranked. Did not appear in the top 25 for the first time until December 1st. They have risen up to number 8 at 16-1, but in big trouble here tonight against their Big East rival, the Georgetown Hoyas, who are number 12.
Georgetown's only turned over once here in the second half.
Whistle and a foul at 5:05 remaining against the Orange. And that personal will go against Joseph. Chris Joseph, the freshman out of Montreal. A long time since both teams squaring off against each other were ranked in the top 15. Hard to believe it's been 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, that was shocking to me, that note prior to the game.
Where Syracuse has not won an NCAA tournament game since 2004. Georgetown, a Final Four team in 2007. Summers trying to make it 20 points on the night. Flynn directing traffic here. Trying to engineer a comeback. Devendorf into the paint. and is on the line. They'll turn it over.
Terrific help defense by Greg Monroe. Diebendorf is terrific off the bounce. He kept moving his feet. Chris Wright got beat, and Monroe was sitting there waiting for him.
Doris Burke, Dave O'Brien with you from the Verizon Center. Monroe helping to break the pressure here. Nice give to Summers. He'll get fouled by Onuaku at 4:39 to play. And another nifty pass there by Greg Monroe. McDonald's All-American and the Louisiana Mr. Basketball out of Helen Cox High School in Harvey, Louisiana. Led them to a state title in his senior year. That first one is in and out by Summers.
So when you have got a guy who's as highly touted as he is and comes in with his mindset, okay, remember, #1 recruit in the country coming out, as you see Andy Routens. It's been a short night, and we hope a quick recovery from that knee injury. But that passing, that kind of passing can become contagious. He walked into the door at Georgetown, Greg Monroe did, unselfish, despite a huge reputation.
Flynn for three. That clangs away right to Summers. Lead back up to 14 for Georgetown. Monroe on a high post. Wright, good three-point shooter. Freeman bounces for the big rookie. Turning on Onuaku. Not a bad-looking shot coming off his hand, but he can't drain it. Flynn zips the pass off the fingertips of Chris Joseph. Syracuse out of sync. Georgetown, #8 Syracuse orange. Right now, maybe because of the light Big East schedule they have played, they have paid some price tonight. They are 4-0, but you're facing the #12 team in the country. And this is a Georgetown team that really jumped on them. 10-2 in the first 5 minutes. That's a thread that you can follow through a lot of these early Big East games, Doris.
Well, you saw it with Georgetown on the road to Connecticut. They jumped on Connecticut, and then they could determine how the flow of the game went, how it unfolded.
That followed back-to-back losses to Pitt and Notre Dame, and they've got a win against Connecticut.
Well, relatively speaking now, ease up.
Yeah, right. Relatively speaking, is correct. And tonight we really felt like this game would come down to the last couple of possessions. Onuaku hitting the deck. That one strips into the backcourt. Onuaku got his fingertips on it. They have 5 seconds to shoot. Clark into the lane, flips it up and in. Boy, he's had some very impressive minutes. The freshman out of nearby Arlington, Virginia.
He's got 12 points, and you know why you like that play? He understood exactly where the shot clock was. In fact, that there was no time for a pass.
Diebendorf follows with the drive and the lay-in on the other end. But 3 minutes to go, and Syracuse running out of time, and they have no timeouts remaining. Diebendorf has 20. Clark has scored 12, and he's made 5 out of 6. Seems to be a very cagey, intelligent young player.
Now you can spread the floor, use all the clock you want with score and time, understanding how to use it. Oh, just a little bit too strong.
Monroe with the pass off of Wright's fingers. And turned back over to the orange, who have been behind from the get-go here tonight. They were down 18 at half, down as many as 21 in the second half. Diebendorf will turn, fire, and it's in and out. Rebounded by Onuaku, out for Harrison at 3, and that's in and out as well. Been that kind of a night for the Orange of Syracuse, New York.
Yeah, they had a lot of missed chippies to start the game. Remember the missed dunk that led to a breakout by Chris Wright?
Meanwhile, a 59% shooting night so far for Georgetown. Monroe handing off for Summers. Had a very good night. That one clangs away, however. Harris there for the rebound. Under 2 minutes. Flynn gives it up and slammed down by Rick Jackson. I'm sorry, Onuaku with the bucket.
You need quick possessions here.
Onuaku with 11 rebounds this evening, but He came in averaging 13 points a game, and as the man in the middle, you were kind of thinking he had to have a big offensive night. Freeman with 19 points for the Hoyas. A shove on the baseline as Johnny Flynn gets fouled. And coming up next here on ESPN2, Wednesday Night Hoops presented by Disney Parks. As we head off to the Big 12, Terry Gannon and Stephen Barta will call that game. Number 21 Baylor in College Station. As Flynn goes to the line.
Well, the only thing that helps players with confidence is experiencing success. A little miscue on the missed free throw.
Yeah, then on a 1-and-1 and followed by Monroe. Syracuse fell asleep in the lane there. Georgetown has put them to sleep tonight. Monroe with 8. Flynn wriggles in for a bucket. But just not enough of that tonight. Not enough Flynn, not enough Harris. And Syracuse will fall hard. One of the rare times in this rivalry that it was a blowout for most of the night.
You get just terrific performances from DeJuan Summers, who's just having a terrific year. Austin Freeman breaks out of a shooting slump, and the crowd going to let him know they appreciate it.
Monroe is fouled. He has 8 points tonight, but 7 rebounds and 6 assists. And Dad likes it, as John Thompson III is moments away from celebrating a victory. His father was here a couple hours before the tip. He was ready to go.
Yeah, he gets nervous. I always feel like John Thompson II is more nervous before these games, his son's games, than he probably was before his own.
Monroe has another one on the way. This is pregame now. Well before just about anybody else arrived in the building. And look who's here first for Syracuse Georgetown.
They showed up at practice this week and gave the guys a talking to about rebounding. They simply said, sometimes, guys, you just got to go get it. You got to be tough, and you got to pursue the basketball. I'd like to have that as a luxury as a head coach, a Hall of Famer we could call on. Come to practice, Pops.
88-72 as Jackson takes the baseline and the foul. And we'll go to the line here with 34.6 on the clock. Well, this is the 80th meeting between the two. And Georgetown about to inch a little bit closer. Syracuse will still hold the all-time advantage, but it'll be 43-37 at the end of the night. Jim Boeheim, whose team lately has dominated this series, and they were dominated tonight by the Hoyas.
Well, just an efficient performance by DeJuan Summers. 21 points on 12 shots. Greg Monroe, I raved about him. And you look at his final stats, they're not going to blow you away. But his ability to pass the basketball, the unselfish nature.
Jackson back to the line where he's really had a dismal evening. 6'9" Syracuse man is 1 for 8.
You can just tell he's got no confidence, too. He steps to the line, he just doesn't look comfortable.
He's a 71% shooter, too. 17 seconds left. And the Hoya fans starting to celebrate a win here in Washington, D.C. This is a game they had in hand from about midway through the first half. They were up 18 at halftime, and they win it by a final score of 88-74, shooting 50.